All right, hi everyone. Jeff Klima here for New Media Rockstars. I happen to be sitting here with John Boswell, correct?
Yes, it is.
All right, good. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't some French pronunciation, something like that. Okay, good. Now, most people know him better, I believe, as Melodysheep. And so, John, how are you doing today?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I am excellent. Don't worry about me. I'm not that interesting. So let's get it. We'll kind of softball into it a little bit here. What is your favorite episode of Family Guy?
Oh man,
Maybe
you
not such a
know
softball question to start with.
the old ones are better, as everyone else thinks. I'm pretty sure, but I don't really remember the individual ones. There was one with an actual melody sheep in it, so
Okay, and that's what I mean. That's why obviously why I'm asking you, Melody Sheep, is because of that whole is that where you derived the name, or did it come out of some other thing? And
no, that's where it came from. I was just watching that episode, and it just kind of stuck with me as a really funny name. I might have been looking for a username at that point, in my life for some reason or another, and I just kind of attached to it, and rest is history.
okay, so I mean, it doesn't really come in as I mean, there's no aspect of say science or anything that ties into it, correct?
No, no, but it is kind of a name that's unique enough to kind of associate with a brand or something. So I kind of ran with it after that, instead of just being some random username. It's rememberable enough that people will recall it and use it as kind of a brand name.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now your gig has kind of been so far has been basically like not even to say basically that makes it sound derivative, but you auto tune science basically, and
Yeah.
so why science?
Well, I wasn't really interested in it in high school. It was kind of something that was a little bit boring to me. But I went to college and I just kind of discovered this whole new world of, crazy concepts in astronomy and biology. And it was mostly GUR classes that I didn't really need to take, but it just seemed the most interesting to me. And I took them and my mind was blown. This is some crazy stuff they never teach you in high school or that you're not really exposed to as a kid. Or maybe that you just don't understand as a kid. It's really cool concepts. And and then at the same time, I saw Carl Sagan's Cosmos for the first time when I was a sophomore, and that also blew me away. I mean, just the retro awesomeness of Carl Sagan and the whole PBS special in general was just amazing to me. And I really, for years I would watch him over and over again, and I didn't really appeal. I mean, didn't the thought didn't come to me to actually auto tune it until the Gregory brothers showed up in 2009, and they really paved the way for using autotune in a remix sense, which had never been done before. And I said, well, I love Carl Sagan is one of my biggest fascinations, and why not try that effect on him? And it worked so well, and people loved it from the get-go, which was great. It was just a good match.
So now Carl Sagan is one of your inspirations scientifically. Like, who are some of the other inspirations in that world, both let's say scientifically and musically?
I was into Aphex Twin and kind of the IDM scene for a long time. You can kind of hear that in my music a lot. But I was in a metal band in high school, so I kind of tasted all over the place, and I was also into indie at the time, which is kind of my scene now. But other scientists, Richard Feynman was huge to me. He's just another really cool figure, really childlike and really interesting, and equal to Carl Sagan in my eyes now. But I wasn't really as familiar with him back then.
Okay. Now you mentioned that you're kind of into the indie scene a little bit here as well. You have a couple of side projects, right? There's Hudson and Color Pulse.
Yeah, one of my problems as an artist is I make music under too many different names. You got Melodysheep, Symphony of Science, and the list goes on. Hudson. I just released a kind of an indie rock, folk rock album about science called Terra Lumina, which is another name to have to remember if you're a fan of mine. But it's fun to kind of make music under these different monikers because there's no expectations already attached to the name that you're working under. and so you can kind of be a little bit more free in the way you work and that kind of thing, which is fun.
Now, speaking of Terra Lumina, since you brought it up here, you actually did that as a Kickstarter project, correct?
Yeah, we did.
Now, how did that come about?
Well, we wanted to. I've been really interested in Kickstarter for a while, and I wanted to kind of make a bigger album than I'm used to making. Actually get some real resources attached and do it right. And this was something I really wanted to do, was original science music instead of sampling things. Which is a lot of fun, but it's a whole different beast. And so we raised a lot of money on Kickstarter over the summer, and we spent 6 months working on this thing, and finally got it out, and it's been great. Great reviews, and it was a really interesting process to have funds attached. Hiring musicians and getting it mixed and mastered and produced better, and it was just a lot of fun. So it worked out pretty well.
Okay, because you set out to raise I think 10,000, and you ended up getting like 23,000 and change, something like that.
Yeah, we were over 200%, which is amazing. Totally unexpected, but great news.
Yeah, that was a good hit for you. Now, so when you get an extra influx of money like that, does it just go towards better musicians and better sound studio time, or where does the extra money disappear into, or how does that get funneled and used?
Yeah, like you said, better musicians, more time spent kind of in the studio and tweaking things. And we spent a lot of time on the artwork too. That was something we weren't prepared to funnel too many resources towards originally, but then, we got all this extra money that we kind of were searching for. And then we spent a lot of that on getting the artwork right and making the whole package just work really well together. And if you order the CD, it's pretty cool. We worked with a couple different artists on a bunch of stuff, and it worked out really well.
Now, in kind of researching the Kickstarter thing for you, I noticed that for your $200 backers, kind of the reward, let's say, was that they got to Skype with you. So I kind of feel like I owe you $200 now. It's kind of an awkward situation.
No, that's it's something that we wanted to connect with the fans, more directly than just thank you. Here's the product. Hope you like the music. So it's a Skype, and then we can continue to talk if they have ideas for our future music. Or the highest backers actually got a song. We got to make them a song, which has been fun. We haven't really done them all yet, but
okay,
it's really interesting to work with people on kind of their own idea of a song and seeing what they like to do and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that this year. Yeah, your $1,000 backers, and I think there were like 5 of them. Did you get any weird requests? Did they want you to sing about anything kind of offbeat or awkward? Or?
We're just in the early phases. We've only done one complete song, and we're kind of working with the rest of them on how to do the rest. And it's really interesting to kind of get that, influence from totally random places that you would never expect to, but it makes you push the envelope on your own work a little bit and kind of force yourself to be creative with ideas that came from totally random places.
Nice. Now you had a song / video autotune that was it was "Let Us All Unite," I think, which ran into kind of a copyright infringement snag. Like, what happened there?
It's happened to me, I think, 3 times this year, which is too bad. But the family saw the video on Huffington Post, I think, and they weren't happy with it. We talked to them. I tried to argue that people are loving this and it's good for the original. It can only help the original content, as a promotional tool. But ultimately they decided that it wasn't in the spirit of the original because I manipulated it enough, and they decided to take it down. There's still a chance maybe it'll come up later again. We're still trying to talk to them, but you do have to respect the copyright owner's requests when they tell you to do whatever they want. So it's hard, but it's something you got to do.
Now, you did also kind of a badass Shark Week mashup. Did any copyright issues there, or have they been pretty cool about it? Any word?
Actually, no. That one was done with the blessing of the Discovery Channel, so they were kind of saying, hey, that would be fun if you did this. Here's some resources you can use. And that's the best of both worlds when there's something you want to do, and the owners are on board with that, which was a really nice collaboration, and it worked out pretty well.
And okay, so as far as channels go, like you've also done some stuff with like PBS, yeah?
Yeah, that was a big one over the summer, and it's still going actually. They got in touch with me back in January, um, 12 months ago, and they said, we want to do a Mr. Rogers remix and a Bob Ross one, and I was thrilled. That's just amazing because I was actually already kind of playing around with the Bob Ross remix before they even got in touch, so I was fully on board with that. And the Mr. Rogers one was the first one to come out, and that was probably the biggest one, I think. It was tons of fun to do, and we were actually going to do a series of Mr. Rogers before any of the other ones, but we decided based on the popularity that we should just focus on one person at a time, one figure at a time, move on. I'm not sure if we'll ever revisit Mr. Rogers again, but there's tons of material to use. So I mean, if there is ever more chances to work with them there, I'm sure something great will come of that.
Now you also I think I saw that you got to attend the TED conference. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. They invited me back. It was probably a year and a half ago. They said come to 2012 TED, and I was like, oh hell yeah, that's amazing. And they flew me down there. It was kind of crazy. There's like 40 hours of talks during the week, and I was there. I went to every one, and I took notes with a little stopwatch saying, okay, 13 minutes into this guy's talk, there's a cool quote there I could use. And then at night, I would have to miss a bunch of the socialization events and all that stuff, just because I had to run back to my little hotel room and in my little portable studio setup and kind of work on this remix like till late in the night. And it ended up working out pretty well. I mean, I think they liked it, and it was really fun to do.
You've had a pretty awesome 2012, I have to say.
It was awesome. Yes, exactly.
Now you also got to collaborate with Jack White.
Yeah, that was actually a couple years ago. That was when A Glorious Dawn, the first Carl Sagan remix, came out, and he got in touch with me, pretty shortly after it came out, and said, "Look, I really like this thing. I have a vision of putting this out on vinyl, on a 45-inch," and I was. Or 45, and I was like, wow, I almost didn't believe it at first, I was just kind of in disbelief, but his team took care of all the legal stuff and got in touch with Carl's widow and, did all the rights stuff, and it made it super easy for me, and it was just a breeze, and it came out, and it was beautiful if you've ever seen it. It's really nice.
Now he's kind of a science-minded guy as well, I guess. He's real into like the Tesla coil and stuff. Did you guys get to shoot the science breeze?
Not too much really, but I've heard he's on the Planetary Society now, or something like that, which is awesome.
Yeah,
really cool.
Totally. All right, now, I mean, obviously, autotune can't, or maybe it can go on forever. Like, where do you see yourself going musically?
I'm kind of mostly I'd say I'm an electronic producer, but I like to do the indie stuff, with Terra Lumina and Hudson, and you can find that stuff on my channel too. I'm trying to branch off into, kind of soundtracks and, sound design. I made a video called Our Story in 1 Minute this year that kind of boiled down a bunch of really cool footage from like 20 or 30 documentaries into a tapestry that tells the story of humans from Big Bang to present day. And I had a lot of fun with that, kind of doing an orchestral almost mixed in with electronic soundtrack to that song, to that video. And that's kind of the thing I want to branch into as I go on. Because you're right, I mean, autotune isn't going to be around forever, or it's going to kind of die off as maybe a fad, but I think my skills are equally applicable to the kind of soundtrack scene, and kind of the video editing skills I have are a good mesh with that, so that's the direction I'm trying to go next.
All right, well, cool. Well, John, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with New Media Rockstars, and I wish you all the best, and I look forward to seeing what you do next.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Hey, you as well. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
All right, bye-bye.